You know what it is. Biggie Astrology. Time to discuss the Scorpio New Moon on November 13th, 4:27 a.m. Eastern. Early in the morning, 1:27 a.m. Pacific at 20 degrees. Conjunct Mars in Scorpio and the Goddess of Harvest Ceres in Scorpio and opposing Uranus and Taurus. Woo! Are you ready? Are you ready for this new beginning? Oh yeah, buckle up. Let's go inside. Up, the plane, Uranus, flight, explosive. All right, it's time to discuss the Scorpio New Moon, Biggie Astrology. Peace. Yo, what's up, good people? Biggie Astrology, Eric Taylor. I'm back with another transit series video. And today, we're talking about that Scorpio New Moon at 20 degrees, early morning, November 13th, 1:27 a.m. Pacific, 4:27 a.m. Eastern. And this is in a conjunction to Mars in Scorpio, 22 degrees, and an opposition to Uranus and Taurus at 21 degrees. So let's set the agenda. I mean, it's new beginnings, and we're dealing with this in the Scorpio final decan, Scorpio Cancer decan. So definitely a new moon that's going to be focused on safety, security, and emotional mind and home. You know, it's in a nice trine to Neptune and Pisces, the Sun, Moon, and Mars, Pisces and Neptune retrograde. Mercury, Sagittarius 4 degrees, Libra, Venus, I believe is at 5 degrees. We'll see when we get to the chart. And a harmonious sextile in terms of our values and our analytical, logical mind. Focus on that Sagittarius energy, which can be kind of blunt and arrogant. But the theme for this, new moon, it is new beginnings, and it's, sort of starting and integrating all the lessons that were potentially learned from this Taurus North Node, Scorpio South Node 18th month cycle, which we just had the final conclusion to that on October 28th with the Taurus lunar eclipse, even though we already started the Aries Libra eclipses. So, what we're seeing here is an explosive energy to the actual Earth, to the collective. A burst of the future, the fuel to see through the veils and the fog and the deception and illusion of the future. Right? We're seeing digital currency being slowly implemented in the EU and, issues with the banks here in America with deposits this last week. They have, I think, till the 17th of November to get a new budget in Congress, and Mike Johnson, Democrats, Republicans, and they're having issues with that. Trying to get money for Ukraine and Israel and all this stuff, but really to take care of America. So that's kind of going on with this new moon. And actually with Mars opposing Uranus and the Sun and Moon, we can see some explosive freeze, earthquakes, storms. All right. Remember, Uranus and Taurus is literally #New Earth. And we've seen a lot and will until 2025 and a little bit going into 2026 before it, enters Gemini for 7 years. So, the 20 degrees is definitely more, and Scorpio is definitely a feminine, energy. There's a feminine base to this, the emotions, new beginnings, but people wanting freedom and liberation in their own lives. But this is an energy, let's not lie, this is an energy about protests. And we can see a lot of protests across the world for peace in the Middle East, for not having an occupation of Palestine, for freeing Palestine, for so many things, for Ukrainians, Russia, this, that, and I'm not about taking or picking sides. It's about creating or seeing what's in the stars and the cosmos and giving you the information so you can figure out in your chart how to move on this Scorpio placement, right? What house is it in for you? Now, looking at the chart at this time, it may be different in different parts of America, but in the Western Hemisphere of the United States, it's a Virgo rising with Lilith and Juno on the ascendant. So it's very much married, and our instincts are connected. Emotional feelings in your stomach are connected to humanity and service, right? Mercury and Sag can get very blunt and very much about its beliefs. What's righteous? What's the law? Venus and Libra, harmony, peace, fairness, justice for the people, especially for the women and children. So it'll be interesting to see with these new beginnings, right? What we are wanting to manifest. And Scorpio is definitely, focused on the health and the money, but the truth, the intimacy, the soul merging, right? Scorpio is I'm as cold as ice, a fixed water sign. But the ruler is Mars, and Mars is conjunct this sun and moon. So the physical body and the emotional mind, our ego personality, right? Our inner authority, along with our moon and Scorpio, very much about the truth and the occult knowledge and investigation. What's up with the FBI and CIA? Has the CIA taken a part in this? What covert actions are happening overseas in Ukraine and Israel? Right? What's going on with our government? Sagittarius rising, Scorpio 12th house. So, and that's illuminating foreign lands. So how much are American soldiers involved? Right? What's going on with the Suez Canal and the finances and the money, the oil? You have to ask all these questions, and you have to be open to turning off the television and zooming out and seeing, especially Mercury Sag, zoom out. What is really going on and what's the big picture? And then how do things affect your life, right? On a personal level. Scorpio ascendant, Scorpio third house, Scorpio seventh house, where in your chart is this illuminating new beginnings, new ways of thinking, new ways of integrating what you learned from the Taurus Scorpio nodal energy in this last eclipse? What have you surrendered and released? What toxic emotions or ideologies have you purged? What truths have you discovered and figured out about yourself and who you are? Right? Jupiter and Uranus retrograde in Taurus. And understand this is definitely getting into flight, travel, planes. We may have some disruption in flights. We could have a very tragic plane crash, extreme earthquake. I don't know the exact date, but I heard that Acapulco just had their worst hurricane ever. So Uranus and Taurus is really in play here. And that can be very volatile to the banking and financial systems. And this goddess of harvest is here in this conjunction. 24 degrees, conjunct Mars, Sun, and Moon. So what's going on with the food supply and inflation of the food and the grains? Yeah. Are the food supermarkets, registering the fruits and vegetables with the appeal coating that's on it, right? And how toxic and destructive that is for you. Is it being labeled right? Are we finding out about, what's really being organic and vegan and what's being sprayed and vaccines in the food? So this new moon is going to kind of illuminate a new pathway that could be kind of intense emotionally and explosive, so that we are really, Uranus is spiritual awakening to even the financial systems about how we move food and finances for people through travel and flight. The labeling of things that are affecting our cattle, our physical bodies, right? Italy doesn't want any fake meat. They're rejecting Bill Gates. So what's being illuminated here, and how are the collective awakening to see through the veils of the deception of Neptune? This new moon will reveal some, the sun, moon, Mars, and a trine in Neptune. This is gas prices. People protesting about that. This is about the water, right? Even finding out about the finances of the Suez Canal and the other canal that they're trying to build to circumvent Egypt and its billions of money that it earns each year. So what's that about? Well, maybe you have to ask America, Israel, and Britain and France. Okay. So let's get to the chart. Let's, I like to bring you some reality and some truth, but things to ponder, right? And for you, how are you vibrating with that Scorpio energy? Because Scorpio, this is where some secrets can be revealed. It's very private, secretive, vague. The Neptune can dissipate the fog and the veils and the deception to clearly see truth in a positive way, to maybe provoke and evoke more righteous protest and freedom and liberation. Sun, Moon, Mars opposite Uranus. And just so you know that Uranus is conjunct Israel's sun, May 14th, 1948, Balfour Act, all that stuff. So, food for thought. Venus, Libra, pray for fairness, justice, peace, liberation. And let's look at the chart for this Scorpio new moon, which, you'll feel the effects of it, at least to the full moon in Gemini, if not the new moon in Sag, okay? Coming up in December, or at least the next 2 to 4 weeks. All right. So, and understand that this Mars opposing Uranus energy, you'll feel it from the 11th to the 14th, maybe even the 15th. Okay? So let's get to the chart as we look at the Scorpio new moon, November 13th at 20 degrees. All right. Yeah, so we're looking at this chart. Like I said, 1:27, which for me is 2:27 a.m. In Arizona, because we don't do daylight savings. So this is 4:27 a.m. Eastern as well. Like I said, the Virgo, Juno, Lilith ascendant, part of fortune there in the IM energy. So there's spiritual financial blessings by being of service to humanity. Okay? And we see the moon and the sun conjunct Mars and the goddess of harvest Ceres. And this is all in the third house opposing the Uranus and the Jupiter. In the ninth house of what? Your wisdom, beliefs, philosophies, the law, higher learning, and foreign lands. Okay? So, this is where our values in foreign lands. And remember, America's chart is a Sag rising, so this Taurus is in our sixth house for our chart for this country. But Uranus and Jupiter in foreign lands. And so this may not really be a time with this new moon to really travel. I would be careful traveling abroad, around the 13th of November. Definitely travel after Thanksgiving or around Thanksgiving will be better. Okay? But this chart lets me know that, you could have sudden events and a sudden shifts in our beliefs and philosophies. The main focus is also this in conjunction, right? The Scorpio New Moon and Mars is in a quincunx to the Aries North Node. So, what you're dealing with, is because Mars is ruling that North Node. So we're dealing with this energy of being brave and courageous and initiating new beginnings for being independent. And this can really, with the Uranus energy opposing Mars, speak to spiritual freedom, liberation, fighting for your beliefs, literally fighting, explosions, hurricanes, earthquakes. So things may feel unstable, and because it's opposing, right? You see, it's opposing the goddess of harvest. It's things you nurture and care for, but it's actually food. So there can be some irritation to the food supply, some unexpected events around our food and finances. Okay? So you have to keep that in mind when you're looking at the Scorpio new moon, and it's in the third house of our communications, right? Our local communities, the banks, local banks, financial stuff. So this is where we can see a transition that could be sudden in terms of health, food, money. So keep your mind and your eyes and your emotions, and remember, Scorpio, Cancer, Deacon, around the laws in our homeland, and just, Mercury, Sag, talking about our beliefs, wisdom, and philosophies. Don't get into the arguments. Don't be overly blunt or aggressive or angry. Sag and Mercury can be jovial and great storytelling. But in the fourth house, there can be some, strong ideologies and dogmatic beliefs as well. So, you have to consider the Neptune trine to the seventh house and Saturn now direct. So when you're dealing with the other half, there is instinctual compassion, right? Lilith and Juno and Virgo to Neptune and Pisces in the seventh house, right? How are we being deceived in our contracts and negotiations with these other countries? Will the Scorpio new moon and sun kind of bring some revelation of truth around how we're dealing with our relationships and contracts, and even the oil prices? Are they coming down, but are they coming down because of the war? Or will the protests stop these wars? When will we stop killing innocent people? In all countries, Russians, Ukrainians, Palestinians, Israelis, people in the Congo. Let's not forget about the Congo people. Okay, so understand, and just the homelessness and the lack of wages and the economic issues we're having in America. We have the Vesta here in the 11th house of Cancer, so there's definitely some interesting energy around the internet and politicians, the eternal twin flame for safety and security. There's definitely an agenda in the stars for us to see the truth. Okay. And remember, you're dealing with the Pluto Capricorn, okay, in the fifth house of our creativity, self expression, children, you know, structures in the school system and education for high school and college. Mars sextiling Pluto. What transformations, and it's not exact, but yeah, you're going to start to feel it more and more. From the 11th to the 14th and 15th, just like you're feeling the opposition to Uranus, okay? And this trine to Neptune. So Mars is a huge player, which is the ruler of this Scorpio new moon. What does Mars do? It cuts, separates, divides. It's blood procedure. It's the warrior, soldier, fighter. It's arguments. But it's in with Pluto and Neptune in harmonious aspects, and opposition to Uranus can be a little yin yang, both good and bad. So, when you see this Mars trining Neptune, it's hopefully seeing through the deceptions. Sextiling to Pluto, it's definitely talking about the transformation, and hopefully transformation being initiated in a positive way in terms of these structures and systems around even our financial debt for student loans. All right. And this stuff is definitely illuminating things around transportation. Biden was just talking about the railroads, fixing that, okay, in your local communities. So there's a lot to consider and there's a lot to understand. But I think for you as an individual and the collective, there is a level of revealing and understanding and seeing through the secrets, deceptions, lies, and veils. And there is definitely an energy of focusing on safety and security. And not just of the physical body, but of the emotional mind. And this energy is irritable. Mars opposing Uranus, Uranus opposing the Sun, Moon, Ceres, and Mars. So some people may feel the need to move. So do some exercising, do some swimming, do some cold showers, but you may need to may need to go to the streets and protest against war. I wouldn't be surprised. And even against, obviously, this so-called government getting things done for the people. We the people. Remember us, Americans? We the people. So that's kind of on the menu, and let's see, how that all plays out. But Venus Libra is here, I think, in the values and speech for us to try to get things to be more fair and more equal and more balanced, to try to relate to one another in ways that we have. Remember, the earth is shifting. Energetically, things have been moving strongly since these eclipses, and people have been going through a lot. So there's also got to be some truth that you have to look within. All this earth and water energy is asking the collective to be introspective. Saturn's moved direct now. Are you being spiritually disciplined? Are you practicing compassion and empathy? Are you setting healthy boundaries? Are you doing the spiritual work to evolve your heart and soul? All this is on the table. And we're all built for this, so we're capable to do the work. But you got to do it. Don't expect and want miracles, but not take one step or finger forward to implement anything new or different or positive in your life. Okay? You're being called to do so. And this new moon is about new beginnings, right? Scorpio is really about digging up the underbellies, the secrets, not just in terms of learning the occult and esoteric knowledge, but about the government, the financial system, the secret societies, seeing through these illusions and veils that have been propped up and held up for so long. Well, it's starting to dissipate, and this new moon is a new beginning of truth, soul merging, introspection, and individual power by mastery of self. Becoming emotionally mature. Being innovative and futuristic. Mars gives you the fuel in that opposition to Uranus. It's not all negative. This can be also bring innovation, new modes of travel. Okay, so be open for that and walk in that. Walk in the truth. All right. So, I got you covered for this Scorpio new moon. Eric Taylor, Big E Astrology. Yeah, so that's it. Listen, set some new intentions. Let it be focused on emotional maturity, responsibility, understanding that the power and control that you need in your life is of yourself, right? And activating your internal power to be the best version of yourself, okay? So get your crystals, your Merkaba, red jasper, and vibrate, rock with it. It's activating the throat chakra, the physical body, the movement will be good. And it's very emotional, intense, and liberating. Liberate yourself, speak your truth, but don't be dogmatic or arrogant about it. Think of fairness and peace and harmony, Venus, Libra. Okay? But, Mercury and Sag also, that's not just for religion and law and beliefs. There's a lot of energy speaking to our finances and what we really want and what type of financial freedom that we can be fighting for and deserve, and not giving all of our money away to other countries and nations. All right, so enjoy this Scorpio new moon on November 13th, 2023, 4:27 a.m. Eastern, 1:27 a.m. Pacific. Scorpio sun and moon at 20 degrees, conjunct Mars and Goddess of Harvest Ceres, opposing Uranus and Taurus, trining Neptune and Pisces, sextiling Pluto and Capricorn, Venus and Libra, and a sextile to Mercury and Sag, and Juno and Lilith and Virgo. Trusting your instincts and your gut and your own power of manifesting service and peace for humanity in the world. Tapping in to your breath work and meditation for the collective. We can all be better and do better. So let's do it. All right? Transformative love. That's the Scorpio new moon. Big E Astrology. Peace. God bless.